Yo, what it is, everybody? So we're literally hours removed from Crawford Porter, which, like I imagined, was going to be an exciting fight as Terence Crawford stops Shawn Porter, courtesy of Kenny Porter, practically waving the towel as Terence Crawford scores his eight or eighth or ninth consecutive stoppage, stopping Shawn Porter in, again, man, one of the best fights of the year. Shawn Porter, look, man, I thought he was going to give Crawford trouble, and Crawford notoriously is a late starter. He tries to feel you out, and in the midst of all that, he'll tend to get hit, and I think I think the story of this fight was Shawn Porter was trying to make Terence Crawford very uncomfortable, and Terence Crawford has gotten accustomed to, he could switch, he makes adjustments on the fly. He wasn't having as easy a time in this fight naturally as he usually does, even though in other instances, whether it was like against Mean Machine or Gamboa or some of these guys where like he'd get hit with something, and then I made mention of this switch being turned. Shawn Porter, like I imagined, I don't feel ever had the power that really hurt Terence Crawford. I think there's shots that maybe got his attention, but I don't think Crawford was ever legitimately hurt. Through the course of the fight, though, okay, there were things that Crawford did that I think at 34 years old, what you see is what you get. And this is one thing I've been very critical of Terence Crawford, is that he likes to pull back in straight lines. He does that a lot. And Shawn Porter at times took advantage of that, and I think, like I mentioned in my prediction video, like he has very erratic behavior, and it's why he gave all the guys he fought tough fights. And for Terence Crawford, this was his opportunity to say, listen, I belong amongst you guys, and you guys didn't want to fight me or for whatever reason, but what I saw through the course of the fight is a concern, like who really had an edge. It was really close, man. Leading to the end of the fight, I want to say Crawford started to make that turn 2 rounds prior to the stoppage, and I'll tell you the 2 instances of when that occurred. He landed. Okay, go back to the Julius Ndongo fight, and I guess in a way I'm being critical of him pulling back, but in this instance, in the Ndongo fight where he stopped him, Crawford pulls back, right? He pulls back like he's doing a check hook, right? And then in the midst of it, when you think he's going to go back all the way, he comes in and throws a body shot. He did that twice to Shawn Porter, and when he landed those 2 punches, the apprehension kicked in for Porter, and you started to notice, and then followed was Crawford's jab. Then he started just cracking him with the jab, and he found his range. And then shortly after that, he hit him with that hook, and then that was just really the beginning of the end. But listen, man, Shawn Porter, I feel, is going to go down as, I'm trying to make a comparison historically to other fighters, but like when you look at his resume, he's fought in the last 10 years, he's fought practically any welterweight that's mattered. Outside of Floyd Mayweather, right? Or Manny Pacquiao. But Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, your Dennis Ugas. Like that's your ring right there. In the last 5 years, that's the quintuple of welterweights, and Porter went. I mean, however you want to rate the Ugas fight, but he beat Danny Garcia, he beat Ugas, had a tough fight with Keith Thurman, and Shawn Porter. I mean, and Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And I forgot to mention Kell Brook. So there, you can't you can't say enough about Shawn Porter's, his will, his determination, and the fact that like he's such he it's so hard not to like the guy. I watch his podcast and he just seems like, and you hear this from other people like in the industry, like he's just such a good guy, which even coming off of this fight, man, with Terence Crawford, and look, I know we're gonna hear about the stoppage and Kenny getting up and waving the towel. Listen, man. I get it. Like, you want to see the fight end in a way where, he went out on his shield, and I think from Kenny Porter's perspective, I mean, look, I'm a dad, okay? And it's very different being a trainer watching your fighter get hurt and drop, and I don't care if you are that trainer as well, you're a father and you're a trainer as well. That instinct kicks in. And maybe that's what happened last night. What I didn't like, and as a father, something I would never do to my son, is sandbag him, like on live television, like saying he wasn't prepared. He didn't prepare like I wanted him to, and all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, your son just gave arguably the number 1, number 2 fighter in the world, potentially one of his toughest fights of his career, if not the. But I didn't like that. That was like, that's your son, man. Like, that's hella disrespectful. Whatever. But going forward, okay, some stories came out following this fight. Okay, again, we know the fight we want to see. I'm not gonna like sit here and talk about it like for another 20 minutes. We know the fight we want to see. That guy was in the crowd and he walked off after the stoppage. Look, man, Crawford Spence. We're done parading around this fight like, oh, he's got to walk here, go there, which I'll get to my next point with that. But Shawn Porter, out of nowhere, announces his retirement following the fight and saying that win, lose, or draw, he was going to retire. And shout out to Train, he mentioned this, or it was ROD. Like, I don't know. I feel like they had an opinion about it, but like I always felt a way when fighters retire, like right after a fight, after like another fighter got like a big win. I mean, whatever. It teaches them. But the other story, and it's been like the underlying story this entire time, when it concerns Terence Crawford and his contractual obligations to Top Rank, that as of last night, out of Crawford's own mouth, he is officially done with Top Rank and he is moving on. And the coldest part about that is he said it right in front of Bob's face, saying, Bob couldn't secure me the Spence fight, I'm gonna move forward. That was some cold shit. So, needless to say, a lot happened last night. Crawford stopped Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter retires. And Terence Crawford is officially gone from Top Rank, which is something that I think a lot of us have been waiting to see, considering the lack of competition that he's been presented being under that banner. But now the question comes, like, does he sign a deal with Top Rank? Does he go on his own? There's only really one fight at this point we all want to see, man. And then after that, like, Boots presents itself, Virgil Ortiz or whatever. But I think 2022, without a doubt, should be the stage for Crawford versus Spence. It is here. It's time to go. We got to see Spence back in the ring, I think, one time. I would suggest him getting a tune-up. But needless to say, I think this time next year, we could be staring at a mega fight. So let me know what you thought about Terence Crawford's performance, stopping Shawn Porter. What were your guys' scorecards? I mean, I didn't even really score the fight, but I mean, there were people telling me they had Porter up 1. They had, Crawford up 1 or 2. It was a close fight, man. It was a close, exciting, high level chess match. So that's pretty much it, man. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Who does Crawford fight next? Should he sign a deal with the PBC? Should he go out on his own? But needless to say, Terence Crawford is on a whole new level going into 2022 as far as his options are concerned. So, any case, follow us at Guard Your Girl Boxing on Instagram. Follow me at Roberto_flat. Facebook.com/GYG Boxing. Notifications, like, subscribe, all that. Enjoy your night. Peace.